The identity shift that you can't avoid. I'm going to slow this down for a second because I really want you to resonate of what I'm going to be talking about. Because if you are listening to this episode, I don't think that you're here by accident. Someone press play on an episode that's like this that talks about identity shifts, and sometimes we don't know why we go through what we go through in our lives, and we sit there and try to figure out, why am I feeling this way? Why am I shifting in this direction? Why is this happening to me? And you might feel that sometimes things are fine and sometimes it's not, and then it confuses everything. And you might not be able to explain it to yourself, but you might not even just fully understand yourself. You just know, you have that instinct that that version of you weighs, that you keep feeling and it's weighing heavy. It's not bad. It's not broken. It just feels a little heavy. And what makes this even harder for us is that you're probably someone who is absolutely capable. You handle things, you're responsible, people rely on you. So when things feel like it's all of a sudden showing up, the tiredness, the resistance, you're not feeling satisfied, sometimes maybe you're not even feeling grateful, your first instinct is to assume that you're doing something wrong. And we always tend to look at the negative side of things, and we don't take that self reflection of ourselves. And what are we doing that is aligned with us? What am I doing that I accomplished? Look at all the great things that you have accomplished. You may tell yourself that maybe I just need a damn break. Maybe I need more discipline. Maybe I am just not motivated. I'm completely unmotivated right now. But let me say this extremely clear. This isn't a motivation issue. And sometimes we tend to shift to go that direction. And when I talk to people that become potential clients, they talk about all the things that were going wrong, but they don't identify all the things that they're doing right. And that is when we turn into an identity shift. And here's how I see it show up most often that I want to talk about is that we most likely start questioning things that never used to bother us. You feel irritated by explanations. You once maybe never felt that way, or you're constantly overthinking, or you're focusing on what irritates the shit out of you. And then every time you have a conversation with that individual, it could be a spouse, a colleague, an employee, whoever it is, that everything that's coming out of their mouths is irritating you. And then you're like, this is not me. And sometimes when we go in that identity shift, we don't recognize ourselves. You maybe feel stretched thin, not because you're doing more, but because it's costing you more. And how so? And what really throws people off is nothing dramatic that happens. No big failures, no like maybe obvious reasons, which makes you wonder if you're just being ungrateful or dramatic. Or how about we say, oh, we're just being weak? You're not. What's happening is it's just that. You're telling yourself that something is wrong, and you're trying to focus on what is wrong than to focus on what is right. And maybe you're outgrowing who you've been. And that could be good, bad, or ugly. Identity shift is not a bad thing. Sometimes we have to look at ourselves in what makes you feel happy and grateful. When you wake up in the morning, do you feel empowered and fulfilled? Are you aligned with your partner? Are you aligned with your company or a company that you're working for? What excites you? Because we really try to rack our heads that we cannot figure it out because you feel that you're either comparing yourself with other people, that you want to live the life that they're living, but you're not aligned with that. So let's talk about that version of you for just a second. The one who got you here, she learned how to survive, how to be strong, how to keep it together. She learned that being capable was safer than being needy, that being dependable earned trust, that being productive meant being valuable. And listen, that identity wasn't wrong. It served a purpose. It helped you build a life. It helped you build a career. It helped you build a family. It helped you build a routine. It helped you build reputation. But identities aren't meant to last forever. And it is okay to have an identity shift. And when you keep living from that no longer fits you, your system for yourself starts to really push back. That's when the exhaustion creeps up. That's when resentment shows up. That's when things start to feel completely off. And here's where most people get stuck. Instead of listening to those signals, to the signs, they try to ignore them. They try to override them because you feel that that identity shift is not right. But what happens if it is right? What is wrong with having a different identity shift? That most of us, we feel that we need to push harder. We say yes when everything in yourself wants to say no. That you're performing the role that you've outgrown and you're tired of it. It's not fulfilling. And eventually, what does that lead up to? It leads up to complete burnout. It leads up to numbness. It leads up to that quiet kind of unhappiness that's hard to explain. You're not meant to live that way. That is not where God wants you to live. And when we start to feel that way, we feel that we're doing something wrong. And it is okay to shift as long as you're identifying what it is and why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So let me ask you something. And I want you to really sit with this. Have you ever thought, I don't want to blow my life up? I don't want to ruin what I have going on. I just don't want to live like this anymore. That thought is the thought that you've been hearing or telling yourself, right? That's the shift. That's the moment that your identity starts asking for an update. And here's the part that no one prepares you for. You can't go back. Once you see that the old way doesn't fit anymore, once your body knows it, once you're no longer feeling aligned, you're longer feeling motivated, the energy is not there anymore. You can't unsee that, period, the end. That's why this feels so uncomfortable for ourselves. You're standing between who you were and who you're becoming. And there's no clear roadmap for that space. Nobody is going to tell you exactly how to run your life, what you want to do, how you want to live, where you want to live, what kind of car you want to drive, what kind of work do you want to do? Do you want to start a business? Do you not want to start a business? Do you want to come out of your comfort zone? Like it goes on and on and on and on. But who can change that is yours truly, is you, because you have full control of your life. You don't need the validation. You do need the support, but you don't need validation with what you know is aligned with you. This is especially common for high achieving women or even high achieving men. Men or women who've been the strong one, the responsible one, the one who holds everything together. You're probably been praised for it over and over and over again. But that doesn't get acknowledged. It's overfunctioning, overgiving, overcaring, burnout, burnout, burnout. And at some point, your system says, I can't keep living like this. And why are you going to ignore that? Not because you are weak, because it's really because you're ready to live differently and you're fighting what your own intuition and your alignment is telling you. Now, here's where I want to gently guide you to this. An identity shift doesn't mean that you have to quit your job tomorrow. You have to get a divorce or, leave your spouse or leave your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or whatever it is. That's not what I'm saying. Like ending a relationship or even starting over completely. Most of the time, it looks much quieter than that for yourself. And what does it usually look like? First and foremost is setting boundaries without over explaining yourself, letting yourself rest without earning it, and choosing honesty over approval. And I want you to release the need to be the strong one at all times. You don't have to be the strong one at all times. And yes, that can feel completely scary, out of the ordinary, and you're saying to yourself, I can't do that. Because if you're built for sense of self around capable and dependable, letting go of that role feels completely risky for you. You might wonder, who am I if I stop performing and doing all this? Who am I if I stop proving? Who am I if I choose myself? And who am I if I choose myself is the most hardest thing to do. We never, hardly ever choose ourselves. And those questions don't come up easy to answer, but they're necessary questions to ask yourself. And here's something important I want you to hear. You don't need to figure this all out at once because identity shift, the shifts don't respond well to what? Pressure, fear, anger. They respond to what? Awareness, alignment, focus, identity shift, being crystal clear what it is that you want to do. So instead of asking, what should I do next? Try asking, what feels heavier that didn't before? What am I tolerating that no longer feels true to me? Where am I being who I used to be instead of who I am right now? I don't want you to fix. I don't want you to force. I just want you to notice that. That's where the real change begins, is when you identify and then you take small baby steps to go toward what it is that you want in life. And I want to be crystal clear on this, is that this phase sometimes can feel completely lonely. You may feel that you're not getting the support, and then you're just focusing that you need all the support and the validation before you can even do this. And I'm going to say absolutely not. Because from the outside, people still see you as the same person. They don't see the internal shift for yourself. They don't feel the exhaustion that you're going through. They don't hear those quiet questions that you keep asking yourself. So you might feel a little disconnected, even with disconnected with your surrounding people that you're always with. And that doesn't mean that you're alone. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It is okay to take the time for yourself. It means that you are transitioning into your new identity. And change is phenomenal. You just got to be able to open it with open arms. Allow that change to come in. If you're feeling restless, if you're tired of performing, if you're feeling like you're performing, meaning you're constantly doing things every single day, rinse, repeat, like you feel like it's all on you, you're doing everything, that you have to do everything. If you're craving something deeper, but can't name that what it is, there is nothing wrong with you, because you're not broken. I'm going to keep saying this. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not failing. You're shredding an identity that no longer fits with you. And that process is uncomfortable because why? It's honest. The minute you start feeling a line and excitement and ready for change, that's when you're ready to make that identity shift. Becoming doesn't look like it's a hustle, becoming who you want to be. It looks like you're listening to yourself. It looks like you're choosing yourself in small moments that no one sees, and no one has to see it. You are proving to yourself that it is okay to do this shift. This episode feels like it's speaking directly to you. I want you to stay with me, because there's these conversations that we're going to keep having about burnout, confidence, leadership, boundaries, becoming the one, becoming you, is a way that actually makes sense in real life. I talk a lot about these areas in my show. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to trust the shift. Take a deep breath. You're not losing yourself. You're becoming your new identity. And don't focus on the outcome. What happens if this new identity shift doesn't work? That I fail, I become worse, I become angry, I become all these what? Negative things. But if that's what you're telling yourself, then that is what's going to happen. And remember that you control the will and that you have full control of your life. Until next time, I am so very grateful that you're here listening to this podcast. I hope you learned from it. And again, with gratitude, Nancy.